Why did the tomato go out with the grape?
Why?
Because he couldn't find a date.
I was thinking it was going to... No, okay, never mind.
Hungry Squared, bringing you the best food talk anywhere.
Welcome to the Hungry Squared podcast, where the brain and belly meet. I'm Sharon from the Wasatch Cooking Guide.
And I'm Winter from theredparty.com. This week, we are getting a little behind the scenes of how a food product comes onto market.
Miss Jones Baking Company.
Woohoo! We get to talk to Sarah Jones today, and it's such a great interview. We're so excited. Let's talk about it. Hello, Sharon. How has your week been? Did you eat anything fun or good or bad or ugly?
I ate something exciting this week.
You did?
I did.
Okay, what was it? Exciting?
Exciting. I made my own tomato soup.
You did?
I did.
How did it go?
It went wellish.
Okay.
What
was the ish part? Okay, well, let's talk about the well part, and then you can talk about the ish
and then
part.
I'll talk about the ish.
Okay.
'Cause there's always a story.
Right.
I made tomato soup using Leanne Brown's recipe from the cookbook Good and Cheap.
Oh, okay.
If you ever have a chance to check that out, do. She's a James Beard Award-winning author.
Excellent.
And it is Good and Cheap talks about how to make easy recipes on a food stamp budget.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So
that's a challenge right there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She breaks it down. It's affordable. She's got meat options, vegetarian options, and it's adaptable for allergies as well. So it's really great.
Nice.
And every cookbook you buy, they donate one to an individual or family in need through food bank charities.
That is great. That's cool. Okay, we will put a link in the show notes so you guys know what that book is, because I think that's a great...
You should buy that book.
Yeah, that's a great
and it's under $20.
Okay.
So I made her tomato soup recipe, and it was really yummy. And things about recipes is sometimes they have a head note or a footnote to just kind of tell you a little bit more information and background about the recipe or about a certain ingredient in the recipe. So she recommends using whole tomatoes that are canned.
Okay.
Just because that flavor is better than diced tomatoes that are canned.
Oh.
There's less surface area that is being exposed and stuff like that. It's just, it kind of tastes fresher.
Okay.
So, there is a little bit of a difference. If you only have diced, though, it works too. So as I am making this soup, I have to blend the tomatoes.
As you do.
As you do. Using my BlendTech blender, which I love.
Which is awesome.
And I've got two jars. I've got two blender jars for my BlendTech. I have my nut butter jar.
Yes.
It's not necessarily nut butter. It's a twister jar.
Yes,
is what
exactly.
It's called. It's got a little blade inside that you twist.
And it is great for nut butters, though, everybody. It's awesome.
It's great for salsas and stuff like that. So because it's good for salsa, I figured I could blend these tomatoes in there. No problem. And I had enough room, I thought, because I was like, oh, well, yeah, that fits. Does it fit? It fits. People, it did not fit. I mean, it fit, but not all the way.
So you got ambitious there.
It's a high-speed blender.
It's a fine blender, and it is.
That motor
is powerful.
It can blend an iPhone.
Yeah.
It's very powerful.
Lickety split. It'll blend that.
It's got a lot of torque.
Yep.
Enough torque that it blew the top off that I was holding down. And tomatoes went all over that side of the kitchen, myself, and into the living room-ish. Like got on the dining room table to my right.
Oh, man.
We're talking like a 30 foot, a good 30 foot area.
Everybody, I just want to note that this is maybe one of the reasons she will cite that she is not purchasing an Instant Pot still.
No, I'm not. I'm not. These are cold blended tomatoes, thankfully. I don't want hot beans all over me.
Sharon, come on, Sharon. I just want to point out that the nut butter container is smaller. And I think
It is.
maybe you should have
It is.
thought through this. And
I should have, but I'd had a long day and I felt good about making dinner for my family after my long day.
Yes, no, that is great. That is great.
So also please remember this is the day after daylight savings and I am running on little sleep after my long day.
You lucky people in Arizona that don't have to change your clocks.
I'm so jealous.
Seriously.
It goes every year. It goes to our state legislature and they do not pass the get rid of daylight savings rule.
What's wrong with us?
There's a lot wrong. So I am against daylight savings. I'll just put that out there right now because this happens. And really it looked like I threw up all over myself in the kitchen.
Okay, but how did you recoup?
It was so I recouped. I still had another can of tomatoes. Okay. So it worked out. Ike helped and dug out my larger blender jar out of the closet.
Good.
Saved the day while I figured out how to change out of my clothes without getting it all in my hair, which I did anyway. And so I was like, well, I have to take a shower anyway, so it doesn't matter. Changed my clothes, ran back there, started cleaning up the kitchen, dining room, and a little bit of the living room. I mean, because we live in an apartment, so
open concept.
30 feet goes far. Let me tell you.
No, seriously, people, if you've never used a Blendtec blender before, they are powerful. They really are. Like I'm not surprised that some of it blew 30 feet away.
Yeah. Yep. It sure did.
But the tomato soup actually turned out well, though.
It did
when it got done.
I had really quick reflexes I want to add, and so most of what was in my blender stayed in the blender.
Oh, okay.
So this was only like the top quarter.
Okay. Well, that's
flying out.
That's good.
That was good. And then I still had the other tomatoes.
Yeah.
So tasty soup from the Good and Cheap cookbook.
Okay. And using the Blendtec blender, but maybe not with the nut butter jar per se.
Yeah, not with the
twister jar. Yeah. Just use the right thing, the right tool for the right thing, right?
And get
Sharon?
sleep.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Get some sleep.
That definitely helps.
How was your week?
Yeah.
Did you eat anything fun or new?
I totally did. Yes, I actually had a wonderful weekend with some good friends. And I have talked about Nina before from Paint the Kitchen Red.
Yes.
But we finally got together. Our families got together for dinner and she made dinner. And she's Indian, everybody. And she made us this like amazing Indian dinner. I can't even tell you how
What did
awesome.
you have?
Well, the one thing I wanted to talk about specifically that was so amazing was her Instant Pot chicken curry. So if you want to go to her blog, it's paintthekitchenred.com and it's red with just one D. Even though my name has two Ds, it's just red,
just one
like
D.
the color in hers. And she does a ton of Instant Pot stuff, you guys. And you know how much I love the Instant Pot. So she made this chicken curry and it's the one that she grew up making, like having as a kid and
yummy.
making. And it is so good. It was so flavorful. I can't even tell you how good it was. It was so, so good. And just everything else that came along with it was so complimentary, but this was outstanding. So I'm excited to try it on my own because I'm like, I can make this. Like when she listed off the ingredients, I'm like, I can make that. I can totally make that. And even the cool thing about her blog is that she actually like puts out all the ingredients, takes pictures of everything. She tells you how to program your Instant Pot.
That's
and like
awesome.
how to fill it up and how to vent it or if you vent it or don't vent it. Like it's pretty.
So you're still getting the same spice. So I'm concerned about the spice level
Yeah.
and like the complexity of the flavor. Are you still able to achieve that in the Instant Pot?
I just want to say it was complex. It was good.
Yum.
Yeah. And I'll have to ask her what she thinks, like if she thinks it has the same depth of flavor or if it's as complex by just only doing it quickly in the Instant Pot versus on the stovetop. But I thought it was delicious.
Awesome.
It was so good. I mean, they made just amazing stuff. I mean, heck, she made a cardamom pound cake thing. It was so good. I mean, I'm just like, it was just a delightful evening. So once again, paintthekitchenred.com and check out her Instant Pot Chicken Curry because it's so good. And I need step by step and she does step by step.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Those are hard to find.
I know. Really it was, but it was wonderful. So thanks again, Nina, for the invite. It was awesome.
And now for the main course.
Okay, let's get down to our first topic at hand, which is our interview with Sarah Jones from the Miss Jones Baking Company.
Yeah, you guys, this was so awesome. So she started her own company making cookie mixes that are organic.
And vegan.
I know. It's so awesome. And so during this interview, we kind of go behind the scenes, a little like pull back the curtain and see how she started it because I think it's fascinating. I've always kind of wondered how things get on the shelves.
Yeah, how designers design, how creators create, and how the food gets from idea to finished product.
Yeah. I hope you guys go to their website because it's missjones.co, and you will see that the products look really lovely and delightful and joyful. Like it doesn't look like organic and granola-y. I don't know how
it doesn't look like hippie food packaging.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks like cutesy, Pinterest-worthy.
Yes.
Photo op packaging.
Yeah. We had so much fun talking to her. So we hope you enjoy this interview.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay, everybody, we're so excited to be here today with Sarah Jones of Miss Jones Baking Company. I had the privilege of meeting her at a conference and I was fascinated with her story. So I asked her to come on today. Just a little bit about Sarah. She has had a long line of being an entrepreneur, actually. She's worked at Apple and PricewaterhouseCoopers, and then she was the head of operations and a food editor at Brit & Co. And then she decided to launch out on her own. And she'll get into her story a little bit more, but because she couldn't find something that she wanted to buy herself in the baking world. So she launched the Miss Jones Baking Company in August of 2015. And we are just delighted that you are able to come and chat with us today. So welcome, Sarah. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. How are y'all doing?
Oh,
great.
We're doing great. Happy that we're talking to you.
Awesome. I'm happy to be on the show.
So can we just start out? Can you tell us what your company is? Because there's some people that may not be familiar with what Miss Jones Baking Company is. So would you kind of tell us what you do and what your company is about?
Yes. So we are the modern American baking brand, or kind of maybe an easier way to think of us is the organic version of Betty Crocker. So we created, just a little bit easier to conceptualize.
Yeah.
So we created the first ever organic frostings in a jar that you can just open and use. And then we also have a line of organic baking mixes.
And I've actually had some cookies too, and they are good.
Thank you.
Tell us some of the reasons for starting your own company that features the organic ingredients. What was the pull for that? I know that not a lot of Betty Crocker doesn't have organic ingredients. Did you immediately see that niche, or how did that come about?
Well, I have always been a baker, and I've always wanted to make baking a part of my career, but I never could quite figure out what that was going to be. And I was also always really entrepreneurial, and I don't know how I had this foresight, but when I was in high school, I realized that, if I was going to start my own business one day, I would need to have a strong financial background. So I decided to study accounting in college and
oh, really?
Become yeah.
Good for you. That was smart.
Thank you. I was like, this is a good job, and it's going to give me the right skill set to start my own business. So
you always knew you wanted
a great baker, but yeah.
You always knew you wanted your own business?
So I did from a pretty early age. I just didn't know what that business was going to be, and I knew I wanted it to be something in food and related to baking. And so I studied accounting in college. I got my CPA. I worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers in Dallas for a while. Then I took a job at Apple in supply chain finance, and I just grew busier and busier with my career, and I really wasn't able to bake from scratch anymore. Mm-hmm. And I started looking for mixes that could be a substitute, and nothing I found really held up to my standards. So the kind of conventional or traditional brands all tasted artificial to me, and I really didn't like the flavor of the frosting. And at the time, this was probably about like 5 years ago, or 6 years ago, there were only a couple of natural baking brands, and they just kind of didn't taste like from scratch. I don't know if they were low sugar, but they weren't a substitute for from scratch baking. And there weren't any natural organic frostings at the time. And that was kind of like my aha moment of, oh my gosh, this is how I can, this is the business I'm going to start. I'm going to create the Modern American Baking brand, and we're going to focus on from scratch taste and clean and simple ingredients. And as I got more into developing the company, and then I learned more about organic food, that's when I became more passionate about it being organic.
So when did you get this idea? Was it when you were still at PricewaterhouseCooper or Apple? Was it then, or was it when you were at Brit & Co? Because I feel like Brit & Co has a very entrepreneurial spirit also, and they would probably encourage you to yes, go do some other cool things. So
I started it I had the idea while I was at Apple, and I started working on the idea, and I found I had a prototype, and then found a manufacturer around the time that I was introduced to Brett Morin. And one of the reasons she actually hired me was that I kind of had this varied skill set. I had a food blog on the side, where I did photography and recipes. I had a background in finance and accounting. I understood operations because I'd done supply chain finance at Apple, and I was starting my own product line. And she said, I need someone to come do all of this for me. And I thought, and at that time, this, Miss Jones was still just this concept that I was trying to prove. And I thought, oh my gosh, here's this girl who's going to be the next Martha Stewart. This sounds like the best opportunity ever. I'd be crazy to not take it. And so we agreed to carve Miss Jones out of the employment agreement. And so I went to work with Britt for about 2.5 years, and then kind of just worked on Miss Jones on the side until I really had the products and the branding nailed and felt like we were ready to launch.
Oh man, that is really fortunate. That is pretty cool that you were able to work that out and have somebody to kind of back you almost creatively and let you do that. So that's cool. That's really neat.
Yeah. It was very cool that she was okay with that and supportive of me.
So really quickly, Sarah, you mentioned that you had a blog before, but can we talk about your background in baking? Can we go back in the Wayback Machine? And were you like a baker when you were, 10 with your mom or something?
I mean, I was a baker. We asked my mom this the other day because I was asking her to send me all the photos of me baking and all the drawings I had. I mean, I think she has drawings from when I was about 4 or 5 of me, trying to draw us baking cookies together.
Oh, cute.
I mean, she has pictures of me younger than that baking in the kitchen. And so she got me in there at a young age. So I was, I guess, baking since I could walk, basically.
That is great. And did you ever work in a bakery or get any formal training in baking, or was it really was just self-taught?
It was mostly self-taught until I worked at my graduate year of college. I worked at a bakery Monday through Thursday, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. before class.
Oh, man.
And there I would say I was less learning skills. I was baking cookies and brownies and kolaches, which are a big thing if you live in Texas. They're a Czech pastry. And more things that I knew how to do. And I was using that experience to actually learn how a bakery, how you run a bakery. To see if that was, I thought at that time, I would maybe start a bakery at some point. So I took that opportunity to work in the bakery every day and see how it actually operated.
And then you decided not to open a bakery.
Yeah, I decided not to. Owning a bakery is really tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say I'll never try and start one. But I decided it was something I didn't want to do until later on in my career.
Gotcha. Okay. I think that would be pretty rough.
Yeah.
One thing that I kind of overheard when you were chatting with somebody else at the conference was that you were kind of approached to show off your product, but you didn't even have a product made. So you and your mom basically put stuff together. Can you tell us that story? Clarify it for me.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a secret, but yeah, the first trade show we went to, we weren't in production yet. We had recipes, or you call them formulas in the food world, but they are just big recipes. We had to make our product by hand. And we took it to the show and, pretended like we were in production. And sometimes you gotta hustle.
Nice.
To get your product out there. So that's what we did.
Did you have packaging at that time, or were you just kind of making it? I mean, how did that look when you were making everything by hand?
We had packaging mock.
Okay, that's something. So that it looked legit. Everything looked legit.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Okay, well then the thing that I was really interested in was can you kind of tell us how you basically got started in regards to like you found your recipes and then what, or your formulas, and then what? Did you go on and contact a food manufacturer? How does that work? I don't even know how that works.
Yeah, so one of the helpful things is that when I spotted this opening in the market for an organic or modern baking brand, one of my coworkers at Apple had actually started a food company in college. So he helped me kind of figure out the steps. So the steps he told me are: first, find an opening in the market; two, find a food scientist to help you make a shelf-stable recipe, your formula; and then three, find a manufacturer.
Okay.
So I knew once I found my opening in the market, step two was to find a food scientist. So I just Googled food scientists. I like to say don't live on the internet. They're really hard to find if you're not in the industry. And then once you're in the industry, you can get referrals to kind of anyone. But when you're just getting started and you know nothing about an industry, it's really hard to find them. And so it was like 6 months of Googling to try and find one. And I had actually given up at a certain point. And then finally literally did one more Google search and recognized this website that I found for the food scientist. It was kind of janky, but I was nervous about it, but I recognized that my husband had given me this cookbook and then it was a company who had created this cookbook, and that same company was on this guy's website. I was like, oh, maybe it's actually, and it was. So, found a food scientist. We started working through recipes and then started trying to find someone who could manufacture the product, which was really difficult because there's really only like one frosting manufacturer in the U.S. and they don't do organic, and the volumes the minimums are so high. Like, I mean, we still couldn't even use them. I mean, it's pretty crazy. So we were trying to find other people who dealt with, what I would say are just, like cold fat. So people who were working with butter and cookie dough, because we thought if your machine can process cold butter or cold cookie dough, well, frosting is usually butter and powdered sugar, so you should be able to make frosting. So yeah, we initially actually found someone who was doing butter, like kind of like infused butters with rosemary and like kind of fancy butters, and got them going.
Wow.
In our first iteration. And ultimately that didn't really work out. And then we found in the time that, we were kind of still trying to figure things out, another frosting manufacturer popped up. And we were able to convince them over the course of, 3 or 4 years, kind of going back and forth a couple times a year to get certified organic for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it took a long time. It was just kind of, part of it was we got the product to a point and we sold enough retailers on the product that they felt comfortable making that leap to get certified organic. Like we were going to be a real business for them and worth the investment.
It was a legitimate, that you had some proof that it was worth their time to go that route.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work on their end. So that's a really good investment.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've all been happy about it. So I've definitely been happy.
Good. Okay. So Sarah, can I back up a little bit to your food scientist? So you took a long time to find him on a janky website and you finally figured out somebody. So what did he or she do specifically? Was it just figuring out a formula? And I'm sure it is a proprietary information, but do they help with scaling things up or making sure certain ingredients are going to work that allow it to be shelf stable? I know that you've kind of complained about other products being out there and not being able to pronounce some of the ingredients. And that's why you started this company. But so I'm just trying to think of things that are not difficult to pronounce, but are going to be shelf stable. So do they help you work through that?
Yeah, they help with all of that. So basically, you usually go to a food scientist. You can go to them with just like a concept and flavor profiles, or in our case, we just said, here's my frosting recipe.
Oh.
How can we make this shelf stable? My butter and sugar and cream and vanilla and salt. And I had already done a lot of research on my own before I went to a food scientist to understand what makes products shelf stable.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I learned is that you either have to have a low water activity or high acidity for the product to be shelf stable.
Okay.
So in thinking about frosting, I thought it could potentially be low water activity, even with butter. Ultimately, we didn't use butter. We felt it wasn't shelf stable enough, and we were able to make it vegan and taste really great and find organic, sustainably sourced palm oil that we felt good about. But in the beginning days, it was still, we were looking at, can we do this with butter? And can we keep that water activity low enough that it will, so if you keep the water activity low enough, it inhibits mold, bacteria, all those other things from growing.
Yeah. You figured out after a while then, it sounds like, before you ruled out butter then. Is that right? So it took a while to...
Well, yeah, I mean, we worked on these recipes and these formulas for quite some time, a number of years, actually, going back and forth, because I was always doing this part-time.
Yeah.
And so it was never my focus. And obviously I always wanted to move forward, but I would just go in and out of I was, trying. I was one of the first 10 employees at another startup. So my work schedule was pretty crazy. And, that was paying my salary. So my time went to that. And
yes.
So we went back and forth for a long time. We actually ended up going through using a few different food scientists, and ultimately what we have today looks nothing like where we started.
Oh, that is so interesting. Okay, so once you kind of figure out your larger recipe that is shelf stable, then you finally track down somebody that was willing to make your frostings. And your frostings was your first product, right?
Well, we were working on the frostings and the baking mixes at the same time, but the frostings are the more technically challenging product. I mean, the baking mixes, it's pretty easy to blend, basically dry ingredients together, and there's no shortage of co-packers who can do it in the US. But the frosting, there was just no one doing clean label frosting in small quantities, and that's why all of the focus was on how can we figure this thing out.
Gotcha. And the frostings are vegan.
The frostings are vegan.
Okay, which is awesome.
And the mixes are actually vegan. Yeah, the mixes are actually vegan as well.
Oh.
As soon as we figured out, so we call them vegan friendly. So we have instructions on the back to make the mixes with butter and milk and water, or just dairy free with egg, or totally vegan.
That is awesome. Because I did notice on your website that there were a lot of options on making things vegan or dairy free or whatever you wanted it to be. I thought that was really very user friendly.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just kind of like, we started working on this, like I said, 4 or 5 years ago. And so many things in the food scene have changed, and our views on food have evolved as well. And everyone's attitude on food has evolved. And so we've evolved with it. Originally I felt like it needed to be butter and powdered sugar, that it needed to be like, exactly like homemade. But as we learned more about ingredients that were available, and as our own views evolved, we came to this place where we had this amazing vegan product. And this is so amazing because it makes it so much more accessible to so many more people. Whether you're vegan or whether you have egg or dairy allergies, we really love that our products are so versatile.
Mm-hmm. And tasty too.
And tasty. I mean, taste is number one.
It totally is.
We don't do anything. If we have to sacrifice on taste, we don't do it. But we've been so happy with what we've been able to accomplish with really versatile products that we now have kind of built that into our ethos that, we can make amazing products that are accessible to a lot of different diets.
Yeah. One kind of last follow-up question on the frosting. You mentioned the palm oil. Where did you guys get the palm oil? Because I know that sometimes that's not really super sustainable. Did you guys go with somebody in particular, or how did you narrow that down?
Yeah. Yeah, so this was something that was really, really important to us to make sure that we could source sustainable palm oil. So we love our manufacturers. They are actually the only vertically integrated palm oil supplier in the world, which means they are the only ones that grow everything and actually process it. So they can trace the palm oil from seed to what is shipped to our doorstep. And we actually went and visited them in September and toured all of the farms and the processing facilities. And we were just totally blown away by the quality of the organization, the commitment to sustainability, the commitment to people, the community, and the organic agricultural practices. I mean, it was just so cool. They have the largest compost in South America.
Really?
Or in all of Latin America. Yeah, which is kind of cool. And they have this amazing methane recapture project. So they have
How does that
very
work?
little waste. So they have very little waste, but anything they do have, and forgive me if I explain this not perfect because it's a little above my pay grade. But basically, their leftover waste, they put it in this kind of pool of water that is covered with this giant black rubber tarp that maybe goes 50 feet in the air, and it kind of heats everything up. And what they're able to do is recapture the methane from the waste and turn it into energy. And they produce enough energy from that they're actually carbon negative, even after accounting for all of their container shipping around the world.
Are you serious?
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty cool. They have this amazing head of sustainability, and that was his project. And we met with their head of agriculture, who taught us how they use the native pests and bacteria and mold and fungi or fungus to fight the diseases and the pests that actually hurt the palm plant.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they treat the palm plant when there is a disease or there is a pest, I mean, they go leaf by leaf. If you think about normal agricultural pesticide practices, it's just take a plane out there and spray the field.
Yeah.
These guys take, an organic method and they just apply it to whatever part of the plant is affected, which is pretty amazing and such a different,
That's
idea.
Meticulous. I think that's impressive.
Yeah. And they have projects right now with bees where they're trying to figure out if palm oil production can actually help resuscitate the bee population and see how they could contribute positively to that. There's so many things that they're doing. It was really, really cool. And so we feel good about where we're getting our palm oil from.
That is awesome. Thank you for answering that question. I did read a little bit and I was like, this sounds like they really are trying to be responsible and have a good product, obviously, but also be very responsible with where they're getting their ingredients.
So shifting gears a little bit, I love your packaging. Can you tell us how it was developed? I mean, it has a great design and great visual appeal. Were you the one that developed it or did you have a team? How was that process and what did it look like?
I did not develop it. I am not a designer. I would say I'm pretty creative, but definitely do not have any sort of graphic design skills. So that was our packaging was created by Annie Kubina, and she's our creative director.
Awesome.
And she's incredibly talented and just really thoughtful about brands, about graphic design, about art direction, marketing, advertising, kind of a jack of all trades.
That's wonderful. I just wanted to tell you, Sarah, and maybe you can pass this on to her, but I was telling my husband that we were talking to you and that your products were organic and you're actually vegan even. And I showed him what your products look like and he's like, well, that doesn't look all hippie and not very appealing at all, because some of those other products that are appealing to organic and that type of thing, the packaging is not cute and appealing. He even commented on that.
That's awesome. Yeah, we say we're not granola, or Annie likes to say we're like the crazy wild ant of the organic food industry because our focus is on taste, it's on joy, which we bring through the packaging and through our innovative products. We created the first ever natural confetti pop frosting, which is a funfetti style frosting. Same, we have a confetti pop cookie mix that has sprinkles in it.
And they're so bright and
Yeah.
I
So
love
we
that.
we just approach it, I think from like the consumer standpoint, like how we want to eat. And it's like, what's number one to us?
Right. Yeah.
What else do we care about? Clean ingredients, simple ingredients, things we can understand. What else do we care about? We want to have fun. We want to buy products that reflect our personality and our taste and our style. So we just put all of that into the line, into the brand.
I think you nailed it. Seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So now that you have this product, how did you end up getting into the stores, like the grocery stores and the maybe the specialty stores that carry your products? Like, I've kind of wondered, like, do you just start talking to people and making contracts? I don't even know what that looks like.
Yeah. Well, you go to trade shows and all of the grocery store buyers are there, and you start knocking on doors. So you start doing like LinkedIn stalking and trying to find emails and cold calling and cold emailing. And then the most conventional way to get in is you use brokers. So everybody in the food industry has brokers, and their job is to have a great relationship with the grocery store buyers, and they represent a number of different products. So, they can be one point of contact for the grocery store buyer who might have, hundreds or thousands of products that they're in charge of, and they can meet with this person and get all the information they need on, however many products at a time. So once you have a little bit of traction, or maybe even before you get started, if you have a great product, you can start to attract the brokers, and they can help you get meetings with the buyers. And then you go in and you sit down with the buyers and you tell them your story and you tell them why you're different and why you're so great, and see if they feel the same way.
Wow. So you have to be pretty good. You're a salesperson and selling your story too.
And I suppose you give away a lot of cookies in the process.
Yes, we bake a lot. I'm trying to keep a journal this year of how much I've baked, but I'm behind, so don't ask me because I'm not quite sure. But I need to go back and track everything I've baked this year, because there was one week where I had baked like 7 beet red velvet cakes in a week, and that's when I was like, I need to track this.
Whoa, that's
a lot of red velvet cake. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's impressive. And is it you that I think I caught you, like I was emailing you and you were at a trade show? I'm assuming you go to quite a few of those then.
Yeah, we do. It kind of varies how many we attend each year. There are quite a few. It would be easy for us to attend about 12 a year. We don't do nearly that many. They're expensive for one thing. But also it's hard to be on the road that much when you're also on the road for so many different things like manufacturing and going to meet with the retailers and, going to marketing events, doing press, publicity, and all of that.
The many, many things that you have to do.
There's a lot.
Yes. Yes.
So we talked a little bit about distribution then. Well, getting your product out there. Where can we find your products? Where can we find the Miss Jones Baking Company products?
So we're in about 2,500 stores nationwide. So we're in a few regions of Safeway in Northern California, Safeway in Southern California, Raley's in Northern California, Jewel in the Midwest, Whole Foods in Northern California, Rocky Mountain, Midwest, Southwest, Fresh Time in the Midwest. We'll be in Earth Fair soon on the East Coast. We're in Wegmans on the East Coast, and we're in about 425 Target stores as well.
Oh, there are a lot of Target stores. So
yeah, I think there's about 1,600. So we're in about a quarter of them.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive still.
Yeah, we felt so. We landed them within less than a year of launching, and that was a nice feather in our hat.
That is really nice. I feel like actually Miss Jones actually fits Target's appeal actually quite well. So
yeah, we think so.
Yeah,
so we felt like they were a good partner.
Yeah,
so.
Seriously, I'm like they probably go a little hand in hand. So that's great. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
A couple of last things. So your website. So I've been on your website. I feel like it's actually a fun little different place than I've seen on other baking good websites. What can you tell us what's there and why it's kind of a little unique from other places people may gather on the web
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of things. So one, we really focus on developing great recipe content. So the way we feel about our products is they're kind of this like blank canvas for customization. Take the boring part out of baking for you, so you don't have to measure out the flour and the sugar and all those other things. Just take our vanilla cake mix, and then we're going to teach you like a couple tricks on how to make it amazing. So, how do you make a chocolate ganache, which is the easiest thing to make? It's melted chocolate chips and whipped cream.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put it on anything, it's going to taste incredible. And everyone is going to think you are like this incredible baker. Even if you thought you didn't even know how to make a cake before you picked up our mix. So we want to make you look really impressive to your guests. And we don't want your guests to know that you even used a mix.
See.
So our recipes are fun. They're easy. They're very contemporary, I would say, compared to a lot of other things on the web. And then the other fun stuff we have on our website is we have a lot of swag, a lot of baking swag. And so we feel like baking is cool and we want people to be part of our club. And so we developed a bunch of sweatshirts and t-shirts, things that say baker's gonna bake it off, bake it easy. And also a lot of gift packs that you can give to your friends. We have a cookies and chill box, which comes with your choice of sweatshirts and one of our sea salt chocolate cookie mix, our vanilla frosting, our favorite cookie scoop, which we love to use. It makes portioning out cookies super easy, and then some Jacobson's sea salt to sprinkle on the top. And we have custom Miss Jones Baking Co. spatulas in the custom color is Pantone's Hot Lavender.
Yeah, it's so pretty.
So, yeah, they're like the prettiest, and they're the Tovolo spatulas, and so they're really high quality. You can make candy with them. You can get them super hot. And then yeah, on the sweatshirts, we actually have a clip on our website of Snoop Dogg and Martha.
I was about to ask you about that.
Yeah, they called us up and they saw the sweatshirt. Actually, Harry Bomb magazine had introduced us to Martha Stewart, and she had seen the sweatshirts, and her people called us about 2 weeks before the Super Bowl and said, "Hey, could you send us a couple of those? We want to wear them in our T-Mobile commercial, Super Bowl commercial." We were like, "Yeah, sure thing." So we sent them, and we didn't really know. We didn't really hear much. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then hey, it's happening. Tweets and like social schedule is going out, and then all of a sudden they released this preview of Snoop Dogg like dancing, doing like kind of Super Bowl run in our sweatshirt, our Baker's Gonna Bake sweatshirt, which was awesome. And ultimately, the sweatshirts did not make the Super Bowl commercial, but they were used in all the social media promotion for Snoop and Martha. It was, yeah. Okay, so ultimately it didn't make the final cut was used on all the social media promotion on Snoop Dogg and Martha's channels and on T-Mobile's channels. So it was still a pretty big win for us.
Oh, that is so fun. And I love that. I love that sweatshirt. First of all, the Baker's Gonna Bake. I think that's the one that they're both wearing. But seriously, you guys, you got to check out their other ones because they're just super simple, but they're soft and comfy. And then they have cute sayings. Like really, yeah, it really is like feeling like you're part of a club.
That's awesome. Yeah, we like them, and they're so soft. I mean, everybody who gets them, even if you aren't a baker, they have like this kind of like fleece interior, and people just like to wear them around because they're so comfy.
Awesome. Okay, well, I just want to thank you so much. Let's just end on one last random question. What's something that people would be surprised to learn about you or about your company?
What is something they would be surprised to learn? This is tough.
I know, right?
My favorite color is purple, and I've loved it like as long as I've loved baking. I used to call it Earl, and so when I went to college, this is turning into a story. Sorry.
That's fine. No,
when I went to college, the KitchenAid came out with their first line of colorful mixers at Williams-Sonoma that weren't in like primary colors, and they were all pastels. And one of them was a lavender mixer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was freaking out, but I was a freshman in college, so I was in a dorm, so I didn't really like have anywhere to put it. And I begged my mom to buy it for me. And the mixer came and went at Easter, and it never appeared again. And I knew they were going to never make it again. So I was like, who's going to buy a lavender mixer except for me? And I've never seen that color produced ever again. And so I was so upset. I was like, we missed our opportunity. And then the next year when I was a sophomore and I was in an apartment, my mom drove from Dallas to Austin for my birthday with a birthday cake, which she would do every single year, and surprised me with the purple mixer that she had actually bought the year before. I think probably on deep discount. But
no way. That's awesome.
So she actually got it for me. So the purple mixer became the name of my blog. It was called the Purple Mixer. And then the actual name of Miss Jones Baking Co., like our corporation, is the Purple Mixer Inc.
Oh, really?
Because that kind of, to me, like, I think that really like propelled, my passion for baking. And the Purple Mixer blog was how I met Britt.
Oh, uh-huh.
She had found that blog through mutual friends, and it played like such a pivotal part in my life, and it was my favorite color as well. So.
Oh my gosh, I love that story. That's awesome.
It's so that
Thank
must be
you.
Why you have the Pantone lavender spatula.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm obsessed
love it.
with purple.
Most definitely. I was like, that
Love it.
is so awesome. Well, thank you once again. This was delightful and so informative. I had no idea the process of how things are done in the mass food production world, I guess. And I'm just so impressed with your entrepreneurial spirit. So thank you so much for coming on. We wanted to let everybody know that you can, like Sarah mentioned, all of those stores that you can find these baking products at, but you can also go to their website, which is wait a second. Oh, I'm going to get it wrong. I better stop.
It's Miss Jones, MISSJONES.co. So .co, not .com.
Yeah. So .co. And then they actually have a store locator on their website as well. And you can find out what's closest to you and track something down so you can make it for yourself. So Sarah, thanks again for the time today. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. It was great chatting with y'all. I'm glad I was able to be on the show.
Thanks, Sarah.
You guys, wasn't that a great interview? Yeah, I know. We're so excited. So I just want to let you know that we are having a little contest on Instagram. Are you guys following us on Instagram?
You should.
I mean, because it's awesome.
That's part of the contest.
Yes. Go to our Instagram page at Hungry Squared, and you will see all the contest details there and what you need to do in order to enter the contest. It's easy as pie, but you get to win a little prize pack from Miss Jones Baking Company. Thank you so much. We're so excited.
And you could have a matching sweatshirt with Snoop Dogg and Martha.
Awesome.
Let's have a food fight.
Food fight, food fight, food fight, food fight. It's winter.
This is a segment where you can email us with your relationship questions relating to food. You can email us at hungrysquared@gmail.com.
Disclaimer, we are in no way professional relationship experts, but you should totally listen to us anyway. If you need professional help, please seek it out.
Food fight, food fight. The food fight segment of the show. Here we go.
Sharon, I feel like you have the question this week.
I feel like you're right.
Okay, let's hear it.
Dear Sharon and Winter, I have a friend at work who needs help. He is a great guy, but is lousy at dating.
Oh.
He keeps taking his dates to awful low-end chain restaurants that are under $8 a plate.
Oh.
That's specific.
Yeah.
And then wonders why he is not getting second dates. I feel like I need to talk to him about this, but I'm unsure how to broach the subject. Any ideas you have would be much appreciated. Thank you so much, worried friend. Aww.
That's really nice of them to be concerned.
Thanks, worried friend. I think that's really good that you're worried.
Yes.
And
okay.
That is worrisome.
Well, okay, there's nothing inherently wrong with
There's nothing wrong with a cheap date.
Yeah.
One of my best dates, I've had several, but one was where I botched a picnic with this person because we were going to go on this like really nice but fancy picnic, and I was going to cook, and it was a nice summer day, and I botched the picnic, and we ended up going through the Wendy's drive-thru instead on the way to the park.
And I bet that was funny and
It was funny.
memorable.
It was memorable, and it was fun.
That is great. So there's nothing necessarily wrong, but if you want to impress somebody.
I will say that was not our first date, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that definitely. Going to the Wendy's drive up is for a first date may not be the most impressive thing.
Depending on your age.
Depending on your age and maybe your social standing. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Depending on your age and your cash flow.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. All of us want to spend less. And dating costs money.
It does.
But at the same time, it needs to be something you budget for.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you think that taking them to a low-end chain restaurant is the way to someone's heart, you would be wrong. And I think you need to learn to cook.
Because you can, for $16, $8, right?
$8 a plate. Yeah, for $16, you can definitely make a meal that is worth having.
That's great.
And
you know,
that's impressive on top of that.
It is impressive because that's what you're trying to do, right? You're putting your best foot forward on your first and second dates, right?
Sure.
And
by the third date, it's old hat.
Yeah. So
you can take off that mask.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Don't.
So I think that's a great idea is take whatever your $18 plus tip. So let's round that up to $20.
Sure.
Go to the store and buy something that you can pull off pretty easily and make a meal. And that is impressive.
Yeah. And if, you know, in this modern world where we're meeting people online and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not comfortable cooking for someone in your home, or they're not comfortable going over to your home because you don't know each other very well.
Yep, I get that.
Do the picnic thing and meet in a park.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You could do that. I also think that there are other options that are inexpensive, but not as cheap looking in
Yeah.
regards to restaurants.
Yeah.
So maybe just look around and see if there's other options in your neck of the woods and maybe suggest those to your coworker and say, hey, have you ever been to this restaurant? It's really nice. You'll like it. And it's not too expensive.
Yeah. Make some good recommendations. Like talk up some places that you've tried.
Because he may just not know. He might just not get it.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, that might not be his thing. That's not his wheelhouse, clearly.
He might think that low-end restaurant is nice because maybe that's what he grew up with or that's what. So help him out. He might just need a little bit of, he might just need a little bit more, a few more ideas.
Yeah, give him some ideas and say, you know, I tried this restaurant with my girlfriends and we all really loved it. Some of the pho places, you know, the Vietnamese soup that you can get.
PHO,
pho, is pretty inexpensive.
It's way inexpensive and super tasty.
And the new ramen places that are popping up everywhere, that's also an inexpensive option. And you can rave about how all of your girlfriends love it, you know. So maybe he'll start listening to that. Like, oh, the ladies are there. You know,
yes.
Gotta go.
I gotta bring a lady there.
Yeah. She'll love me and she'll love the place.
So be sneaky and tell them to kind of drop hints. But if you're really concerned about him and he keeps failing and he asks you, I think you should just tell him.
Oh, yeah. Totally tell him if he asks. But if not, drop some hints.
Yeah. Well, I mean, guys are kind of maybe not the quickest on picking up hints. So it might just be wise.
And they're okay with being blunt, usually.
You can just say, hey, you need to change your restaurant game and take them to these places. They're better.
Yeah.
I think that would be fine too.
I think that'd be fine.
Because Lee always complains about me dropping hints. He's like, I'm not gonna pick up on it, Winter. You got to just tell me outright. I'm like, okay, I will.
Ike says the same thing.
He's like, so I tell him, I was like, I need flowers this week, and so he gets me flowers, and I'm fine with that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I have to occasionally he'll like come out of the blue and get me some flowers, and I'm like, what? But if I want stuff done or want something to happen, I usually can't just drop a hint.
Tell it to him straight.
Yeah.
And then maybe look up some happy hour times or some things like that in your area that give discounts on food and drinks, some like datey types of things, or if you see a good Groupon for a restaurant in your area.
Yeah, totally.
You know, pass that along. That could go a long way with him too, because maybe he's trying to save money. maybe he just doesn't know. But either way, if you suggest some awesome places that are inexpensive or some nicer places that have really great deals, he'd probably be open to those.
Yeah, it would be, these are better options than going to a low-end restaurant. You're just losing dates, dude. So help him out. Help your friend out.
Good job at helping your friend out.
Yeah, keep helping him out.
Keep the faith. Somebody will see through the cheapness.
Somebody that maybe is cheap and understands his frugality or something like that.
Maybe he should date accountants. Who knows? Thanks for joining us today on our show. You can find us at hungrysquared.com on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play Music.
You guys head on over to Hungry Squared at Hungry Squared at Instagram, and we are having that contest. Did we tell you about that?
Yeah, there is a giveaway with Miss Jones Baking Company that you can enter. It's on Instagram. You have to follow both of us, and you can get details at our website and on Instagram.
Yep. So follow us there at Hungry Squared. Once again, thanks you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you next week for our next episode of Food Nerdery.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hungry Squared, yeah, Hungry Squared.